So it's interesting, I've heard a lot of good things while I've been here, and I actually think there is a lot of innovation going on around the room and around the EU in this space. But what I want to do is share with you a different point of view to spark a discussion with you, and I have to call it the public leader's dilemma. And the idea here is that the dilemma that I'm talking about for the public communicator or the public leader is all about how can they serve their constituents who demand a completely new way of communicating? How can they become the social organizations that are expert at managing the risk involved in communicating in a new way, but also the reward from new social behaviors and technologies out there available to us today? Because we really have no choice. I'm not here to champion the importance of social media. You guys have already been doing that over the past couple of days, and presumably the days before that. We all know this. I mean, trust in institutions in general tends to be low. The information we get, the advice we get from our friends, our family, and now our social connections extended out through social networks tends to drive a lot of opinion and decisions out there, not just in what you buy, but also in who you vote for and what community initiatives you support or even engage in or even bother to pay attention to. So this is the public leader's dilemma, I think, from my point of view. And I think if I think about what the leader's role is in managing the impact of social media in their organization, this is kind of a business person's view. And you may disagree with this, but I do believe that the public leader's role is very similar. It's to manage the risk. We've heard a lot of the risk stories. We've all know them. Things gone wrong, losing control, when we attract a lot of haters to our Facebook page and so forth. Manage the reward, reap the reward of reaching people in new ways. That's creating value, and I think that the public leader's job in relation to this is, and especially the public communicator's job, is to create value, and we do it in 4 ways. It's creating stakeholder value. It's giving more options to community members out there and how they can engage in government, if that's what we're representing. It's about building trust and reputation through kind of new, open, transparent behaviors. We've heard a lot about that. You are all engaged in that. It's about expanding operations and innovation excellence, which is really about efficiency. We can all have a bigger impact in our mission by using social media, by making that a part of the fabric of what we do. It is more effective and efficient, integrated into what we do. I can back that up with the data. And it is about strengthening workforce and culture. Your teams, our teams out there trying to communicate a mission, trying to execute a mission, have the opportunity to use new collaboration tools, new communication tools internally that will make them more powerful. So I don't want this to be another talk about abstract principles. I want to give you kind of 3 key ideas that I think will help our public leader be more impactful overall and be the social leader that I think she can be. And I think it's about finding innovation in new places. And this was about the idea that there are really 3 places that I think we as public-focused individuals need to look. We have to have peripheral vision. We can't, as you have said, we cannot consider ourselves terminally unique. My community is different, or I'm a public official. I can't look at what Pepsi does or what American Express does in this space. It doesn't relate. Because I think brands are spending billions, not millions, billions of dollars trying to figure this out. And it is challenging them to change the way they have always behaved in terms of communicating out there. I want to reap the lessons of all that experimentation and innovation going on there, knowing full well that we need to translate it for our own reasons. Startups, I got to tell you, every year for the past 3 years, the commercial clients that I represent and the leaders, some of them gray hairs in my overall company, make a pilgrimage to Silicon Valley and go visit Facebook and go visit Foursquare and go visit Twitter and go visit Google and go visit a dozen other companies that may or may not be here. Those are all going to be here, but other ones that may not be here in the years to come. And part of it is, yeah, it's trying to learn what the latest thing is, but part of it's trying to learn how they behave and how they work and learn a new approach. And then it is about agile nonprofits out there who, out of pure expediency, are having to use social media to execute their mission and get a bigger result. Greenpeace, I mean, just look at what they've been able to accomplish. So if I look at some examples to make this more tangible, if we think that listening and understanding the needs of our citizens, our stakeholders, our constituents, if you will, out there is important to us, we have to pay attention to what DuPont is doing right now in terms of trying to spark a conversation online about some big mega trends, food security being a great example. Because what they did was they listened what people were already saying online in social networks and across the web. They also looked at what people were searching for in relation to the ideas behind food security to understand how to create content that was going to be useful and, quite frankly, was going to get to them much quicker as those people who were concerned about this issue looked for it. If we're interested in building trust, these are all themes I've heard here. We have to look at what Ford, the Ford Motor Company, did the summer of Taurus. They launched a new vehicle, a signature vehicle for them. And what did they do? They sent 25 of their top executives, including the CFO, pictured here, quite frankly, guys and gals, mostly guys, who had never been out of the big obelisk in Dearborn. And they sent them out to 100 cities across America to stump for the car. And they met not in big rooms like this, in big influential spaces, but they met with 12 bloggers. And they met with car dealers, and they met with community members who cared about the business that dealership and therefore the Ford Motor Company was bringing to that market. That was about building trust at a time when they didn't necessarily have a whole lot. If you think about building trust and look at what's going on in the political landscape, think about this, the Super PAC iPhone app. I can have my app listen to a television commercial or a radio commercial for a political candidate and be given all of this meta information about what is the veracity, the truthfulness of what they're saying, what are the facts behind what they're saying, who created that advertisement, where's the accountability for the message out there. That's a powerful idea. If I think about driving advocacy and action, getting people to take an action that matters to a community, I have to pay attention to American Express and their effort behind Small Business Saturday. Over 100 million people participated in this yearly event, driving people to buy local, to their local stores, in their local communities. It was them tapping into a grassroots sentiment that already existed out there because they listened to what people were saying in the online space, and then they activated and they helped businesses, little small mom and pop shops who do not have the resources to figure out how to use social media well or digital marketing. They gave them toolkits to drive traffic into their stores. If we're interested in advocacy and action, we have to look at little tiny startups. So the Instead iPhone app from a Texas nonprofit. It allows me to figure out what I want to buy and then find a cheaper alternative, and then I'm prompted to donate that money, the difference in the cost of product X versus product Y. You've got to believe that most of my commercial clients hate this idea. However, we have to look for innovation everywhere. And if we're looking at deepening engagement, I've heard a lot of talk about that over the past few days here. And I think that if we look at the It Gets Better project, a project that is trying to make life a little easier for lesbian, gay, and bisexual teens, we see that they're encouraging people to actually submit personal videos. And to date, over 50,000 videos have been uploaded with views exceeding 50 million. How can a small group reach such big potential out there? And last, in this idea of looking for innovation around, many of you may be wearing a Nike Plus Fuel Band right now, and if you're talking about driving change and behaviors that are more healthful, you have to pay attention to what brands like Nike are doing out there to help us through game mechanics and behavioral economics to help us all become healthier individuals. So I think the second thing that our public leader has to do is she has to help her people transform. And I've heard a lot of great talk about that here today, both in these rooms and with meetings out in the street. I'm going to simplify it and say that I think it is about training, I think it is about collaboration, which we've spoken about, and new routines. And if you think about transformation through training, I have to think about what Nestle is doing at the Digital Acceleration Team in Vevey, where actually I'll be next week. So I had the good fortune of being a part of this launch of this kind of nerve center inside Nestle headquarters, where 12 marketers from around the world come for an 8-month immersion program to learn the best practice application of social media and digital marketing to their mission. And then they go out and they spread the word and they make change happen in their local markets out there. And if you walked into this, it's a command center, right? They're big 55-inch screen displays with Radian 6 displays of what people are saying online, and their publishing platforms that Buddy Media and so forth and so on, where they're using those to engage people via Facebook and everything. They're changing how they work and how they communicate, and a deep investment, and it's scary. If I think about transforming through collaboration, Yammer. I mean, just a simple tactical platform, which many of you may use, and I know that they are here. But we look about how Earth Hour, an advocacy organization supported by the World Wildlife Fund, where they have actually gotten 7,000 cities and towns in 152 countries and territories switching off their lights as an action. I know there's been some criticism as to whether that really changes behavior, but I mean, we're raising awareness here for sure. And beyond all the social platforms they use externally, they use Yammer internally amongst the different participants to share ideas and innovations, to see what works from country X to country Y, so that they don't have to learn the same lessons over and over again. And the last point here is about transforming with new routines. So if you want to scale the use of best practice use of social media out there, what brands like Smartwater are doing is they're creating playbooks, which are instructional how-tos, yes, but not boring, sit-on-the-shelf ones, filled with tools that marketers in distant markets can use to bring the best lessons of social media to bear and create some sort of cohesion and governance to how we use social media. The last point, I think that she needs to build belief. And I'm not talking about building belief in social media. I really don't care about that. I think that sometimes is a red herring or a mistake. I think it's about building belief in fundamentals. And these are the last ideas that I will leave you with, because I believe that if you believe that closer listening to stakeholders will help us understand their needs and therefore presumably meet those needs, then social media's role, social data's role in that is perfectly clear. If you believe that earning people's attention and advocacy, getting them to share and promote to their social graph, builds support for your mission, then you must pay attention, I think, to social media. A new set of influencers are out there now, and they can impact your mission in significant ways. And you may be annoyed at the fact that there's a lot of new influencers out there because it's a crazy group of folks. I mean, it's a big mix of people. But the long tail of influencers out there in every one of the markets that you represent around the room are changing how we need to get things done. The citizen's journey. That's an idea. I don't quite know how to translate this. I'm trying. But when citizens need to get something done, when they need to vote, when they need to get a service in their community, the process that they take is more and more complicated today. They're looking for information in probably twice or 3 times as many places as they used to. Some of it comes from us, but most of it comes through their friends and their social graph. So all the data that we can get and the understanding of behaviors will help us affect those changes. We don't have to say much about communities of shared interests. We've seen how they have started to change the world, whether the affinity is about the pothole in your local community or whether the government in the Middle East. And last but not least, the belief that social tools can change and improve how we produce value from collaboration. So I think we have a great opportunity to go out from here and start to look for innovation in new ways and have more peripheral vision. I do believe we have to help our people transform. It's not going to happen magically. It won't happen just through generational change, as those of us who are a little older will die off. It's not as simple as that. And I do believe that we have to help and build belief out there today. So with that, I just want to leave you with a thought as we move along the panel. Where do you find innovation today? And How are you transforming yourself and your teams? And last but not least, how are you building belief in your organizations to galvanize them for action? Because we were talking about action earlier and some of the change and intent we've heard over the past few days, but how are we all doing a job of building belief in it? So thank you very much.